Young Yogi, Jambu Kumar. Young Yogi, Jambu Kumar. Water naturally flows downwards. Human mind, too, naturally runs after pleasure and comfort. Man always desires to get such pleasures, even in the face of tortures, hurdles, and insults. But there also exist those rare individuals who become free of attachment. The veil of ignorance lying over their mind is destroyed. They consider all mundane pleasures to be sources of misery. 16 years before the Nirvana of Bhagwan Mahavir was born one such unique detached individual. This great man renounced unlimited means of pleasure and comfort, enormous wealth, loving care of his parents, and his 8 beautiful and newly wedded wives on his wedding night, and took to the harsh path of ascetic discipline. To discipline the mind is much more difficult than disciplining the body. The resolute young man who accepted this difficult path became famous in history as Jambu Kumar. The strong determination, sacrifice, and detachment of young Yogi Jambu Kumar is famous as a unique example of ideal renunciation in Jain history. So much so that it is hard to find another such spiritually inspiring tale in the religious literature throughout the world. To Jambu Kumar, the feeling of detachment did not come as a result of some preaching, but intuitively as a consequence of inner awakening. That appears to be the reason behind its intensity and inspirational and emotive quality. These attributes imparted an unfailing mesmerizing power to his sermon. All his 8 newly wedded wives were so impressed by his preaching that they followed his suit. A die-hard smuggler like Prabhav heard his sermon and underwent a change of heart. He also followed Jambu Kumar and renounced the world along with his 500 fellow thieves. This astonishing incident happened during the first year of Nirvana of Bhagwan Mahavir. It has become a memorable date in the history of mankind. The dialogue between Jambu Kumar and his wives is interesting as well as inspiring. The tales interspersed within the dialogue are also very instructive. The limited space has allowed us to include a few only, but we shall try to include more in other forthcoming issues. Young Yogi Jambu Kumar. In Rajgura, the capital of Magad, lived a rich and reputed merchant named Rishabdat. His wife, Dharini Devi, was virtuous and helpful. The house of the merchant was filled with heaps of gold and silver, but the courtyard of Dharini was lifeless in absence of a sun, just as the star-studded sky in absence of the moon. One day the merchant said to his wife, "Dharini, I am sure we did not acquire enough good karmas during our previous birth. That is why we have everything but a child playing in your lap." Forcing a smile, Dharini said, "My lord, please don't burden yourself for what is absent. If we are fated to have a son, sooner or later we are sure to have one." Suddenly, Jasmitra, an astrologer friend of the merchant, arrived. Seeing the gloomy face of Dharini, he asked, "What is the matter? What worries my bhabi?" The merchant said, "Man, you are aware of her problem. Without a child, our home appears lifeless. We are rich but destitute as well. Why don't you apply your knowledge and read what our stars say? I will prepare a chart for this moment and find when her wish will be fulfilled." Jasmitra made the chart and uttered with joy, "Stop worrying, Bhabi. Soon you will get what you wish." The merchant looked agap. "Is it true, Jasmitra? What did you say?" "Yes, my dear. Bhabi will give birth to a son whose fame will spread throughout the subcontinent. His glory will transcend time and echo into the future." Jasmitra concentrated and said, "Soon you will behold a lion having a white mane in your dream. This will make you believe my statement." The prediction by Jasmitra filled Dharini with joy. Then a guard came and informed, "Sir, Sudharma Swami has arrived in the city garden." "This appears to be a lucky day. One good news is following another. Come, let us go to pay homage to Gandhar Sudharma. They all went to the city garden and attended the discourse of Gandhar Sudharma. One night, Dharini was sleeping in her bedroom. During the last quarter of the night, she saw in her dream that a lion with silvery white mane was entering her mouth. This dream filled her with exhilaration. A little while later, she saw a rich, lush, green jambu fruit tree in her dream. The tree descended from the sky and entered her mouth. Dharini got up with a start. In the morning, she told the merchant about the strange dreams. My lord, I saw such milky white lion for the first time. The jambu tree with large yellow fruits in the second dream was also unique. Jasmitra's predictions are coming true. The merchant called Jasmitra, and he commented, Bhabi, your son will be courageous like a lion. At the same time, like a jambu tree, he will be a unique figure of his period. His fame will spread all around the Jambu continent. Dharini went to her elderly mother-in-law with the news and touched her feet. She blessed Dharini and said, Daughter, rare is the dream of a jambu tree. It is the forebearer of great fortune. During pregnancy, your food influences the physical development, and your thoughts and conduct influence the mental development of the fetus. Therefore, take all care. In due course, Dharini gave birth to a brilliant child. The merchant organized a feast to celebrate the birth. He gave charity to the destitute. Among his friends and relatives, he announced, My wife, Dharini, had seen a jambu tree in her dream, so we want to name our son as Jambu Kumar. Good, excellent. All present happily endorsed the name. Jambu Kumar was a prodigal child. He took interest in activities like games, music, and arts, besides conventional studies. When schooling was complete, his guru took him to his father. Sir, at the young age of 8 years, your son has mastered the 72 arts. Subjects, if you want, you may take his test. The merchant honored the guru and said, Acharyavar, a businessman's son needs mastery in commerce. All other subjects are just the means of mental development. Why do I need a test? The merchant gifted gold and apparels to the guru before bidding him farewell. When Jambu Kumar was 16 years old, proposals for his marriage came from many rich merchants of Rajgira. Rishabdat gave the pictures and horoscopes of all the girls to Dharini and said, Look at these and select a bride for Jambu. Dharini examined the sketches one by one. This one is very beautiful. This one is like Venus. Her eyes are mesmerizing. 1 or 2 brides are not enough for my Jambu. I will select 8 beauties for him. The merchant said, What of 8? You have the capacity to bring 68. But first, ask your son. My son Jambu is obedient. He will not go against my wish. I have selected these 8 girls. Please send our consent to their parents. At that moment, Jambu Kumar arrived and touched his mother's feet. After blessing him, the mother asked, Son, where were you? Mother, I have returned from the discourse of Sudharma Swami. Very good, son. You are indeed pious. But why is your dress so dirty? What happened? Nothing to worry about, mother. On the way back, when I entered the city gate, a large boulder split from the arch and crashed on my chariot. I was lucky that it missed me and only damaged the rear end of the chariot slightly. Dharini got worried and examined Jambu's body nervously. Thank God, my darling son has returned safe and sound. Jambu said, Mother, this accident inspired me to think. What? Had I died in this accident? No, not at all. Don't utter such ominous words. Let me finish, mother. I at once returned to Sudharma Swami. Very good, son. Even uttering his name provides protection. Jambu said with a smile, Yes, mother. My future is now free of all problems. I have resolved to remain celibate all my life. Dharini was taken aback. She gaped at her son. What What have you done, my son? You have shattered all my future plans." Dharini lost her consciousness. The merchant rushed to her side. The maids sprinkled cold water. Dharini recovered, but she continued to shed streams of tears from her eyes. When he saw his mother in tears, Jambu Kumar thought, "Just my decision to become ascetic has hurt my mother. What will happen when I will actually do so?" Jambu silently changed his decision. "The happiness of my parents is my prime duty, so whatever I do, I will do only with their consent." He said, "Mother, please don't worry. I will do as you say." Dharini put her hand on Jambu's head and said, "Son, I will not force anything on you, but my desire is that you should marry and let me behold your beautiful wives. Later, you may do what you wish." Jambu Kumar touched the feet of his father and said, "Father, to comply your and mother's wish, I agree to marry. But after marriage, I shall certainly take Diksha. This information should be given to the parents of the girls." Next morning, a messenger of Rishabdat arrived at the residence of merchant Samudrapriya. Getting the message, the merchant couple deliberated. Of what use is a son-in-law who will become an ascetic immediately after marriage? Their daughter, Samudrashri, interrupted. "Mother, you are indeed innocent. Don't you know that a bumblebee buzzes only as long as it has not tasted pollen? Daughter, I know Jambu Kumar well. He is not so innocent. He is a man with strong determination. Your life depends on this decision. Think carefully. Father, I have accepted him as my husband. You will see who wins this game." Other 7 girls also gave similar answers to their parents. Next day, the parents of all the 8 girls arrived at merchant Rishabdat's residence with gifts for the formal betrothal. At an auspicious moment, Jambu Kumar was married to 8 girls ceremoniously. "Great! I have never seen such grand ceremony before this." Merchant Rishabdat got a beautiful 7-storied house constructed for Jambu Kumar. The sound of music filled this palace. The atmosphere was made intoxicating by aroma of fresh flowers. The twinkling of anklets, the melodious laughter, and enticing conversation of beautiful damsels gave a sweet, lusty tone to the inner sanctum. Jambu Kumar came into the large central hall. At the center of the room was a beautiful throne, and on its right and left were placed 8 smaller thrones forming a semicircle. Jambu Kumar took the large throne at the center and said, "Please sit down, ladies. This is the most important night of our lives, is it not?" "Yes, my lord, you are right." The 8 young women sat on the smaller thrones. A serene and pure joy reflected on the face of Jambu Kumar. He addressed his wives. "Ladies, you have agreed that this is the most important night of our lives, but did not clarify why." "Because a husband and his wife are enjoined by the ties of faith and love. My lord, this night of the first union is a memorable night for a bride." They all looked at Jambu Kumar, smiling shyly. Jambu said with a smile, "But do you know that for you this night is also the night of breaking the ties of faith and love?" "No, my lord, please don't utter such words." All the wives said sadly. Jambu Kumar added, "Indulgence in pleasures is the downfall of a soul. It appears to be joyous in the beginning, but the end is always miserable." Samudrashri said, "My lord, why are you renouncing all these mundane pleasures? You have been informed that tomorrow I will take my first step on the spiritual path. I have resolved to get initiated by Gandhar Sudharma." Padmashri said, "My lord, when you had no opportunity to taste such pleasures, how do you know about the result?" Jambu Kumar gave an example. When a sharp-edged knife with honey spread over it is picked up by an ignorant child, he starts licking the honey. It cuts his tongue and starts crying. All this happens because the child is ignorant. But a matured wise man knows about the consequences without even licking the knife. How can he indulge in the foolish act? No, he knows. Thanks to the discourse of Sudharma Swami, that I have realized that those who indulge in mundane pleasures acquire sinful karmas and gravely suffer in places like hell. Why should I knowingly get caught in quicksand? While Jambu Kumar was talking to his wives, other rooms in the house were closed, and the servants retired for the night. In those days, the state of Magad was terrorized by a great bandit named Prabhav. He had secret hideouts in the hills. One day his informers brought the news. Boss, today Jambu, the son of Rishabdat, the richest merchant of Rajgara, is getting married to the daughters of 8 wealthy merchants. He is getting a dowry worth 100 million gold. Good, we are going to become rich. Prabhav ordered his gang to be ready. After midnight, when it became pitch dark, 500 bandits entered the house of Rishabdat. Prabhav cast a spell, and the guards and other members of the household fainted. After this, he used another magical spell. All the locks in the house opened. Great! Ornaments and gems are heaped like grains in a granary. Look, heaps of gold coins. Shut up, collect everything in bundles. 500 bandits got busy packing the wealth into bundles. Hearing the noise, Jambu Kumar looked down from the balcony. He realized that thieves had entered the house. He shouted, "Stop it! Who are you? Why collect all this garbage? Stay put." As soon as he uttered, "Stay put," the bandits became immobile, as if stuck where they stood. Prabhav was stunned. He looked up. Who is this divine young man? Why is he still awake? How he remains unaffected by my spell? The bandits shouted, "Chief, we cannot move. Get us unstuck. This divine youth is a step ahead of me. My spell did not affect him, and instead he has immobilized my men." Prabhav went up the stairs and approached Jambu Kumar. When he watched the radiant face of Jambu Kumar, he was impressed. He said, "O merchant's son, I am Prabhav, the eldest son of Vindhyaraj, the king of Jaipur. By birth I am a prince, but by profession I am a bandit. I want to be your friend." "What do you want?" "Let us exchange our skills. You may learn the 2 spells I know, and please teach me the 2 you know." "What magic are you talking about?" "With your spell you have immobilized my men. Now with another spell, get them unstuck. Teach these 2 to me. In return, I will teach you the 2 spells of making people unconscious and opening the locks." Jambu Kumar giggled and said, "Prabhav, neither I know any magical spell, nor do I want to learn any. For me, all this wealth and grandeur is like a heap of sand." Prabhav laughed. "Hey, merchant's son, you are wise and clever for your age. You are trying to misguide me by equating this wealth, which is dearer than life to all humans, with a heap of sand." "Prabhav, this is the difference between your and my attitude. Although you are a prince, you indulge in despicable activities. That too just for wealth. And I shall renounce all this and become an ascetic tomorrow." "Really?" Consequently, Prabhav's attitude underwent a change. He contemplated a little while and said firmly, "O merchant's son, what you say is correct. The greed for wealth made me a bandit from a prince. A man who lived in regal grandeur is now living in hiding, a life worse than that of animals. I too now renounce this wealth. I will also become an ascetic with you." "Praise be to you, Prabhav. A mistake condoned is no mistake. Now try to correct your fellow bandits. As soon as you release them, I plan to talk to them." Just then there came a call. "Chief, we are all released. Come, let's go." Prabhav came down and addressed his men. "Stay away. Don't lift these bundles." "Why, Chief? Has the man upstairs cast a spell on you?" Prabhav said, Jambu Kumar is right. Our greed has made us bandits and murderers. Otherwise, we would also have led a happy life. Now, I will not indulge in stealing." When Prabhu conveyed his decision to become an ascetic, his men said, "Chief, we will also go with you. We will also follow the path you take." Jambu Kumar returned to his chamber and sat down to talk to his wives. His second wife, Padmashri, said, "Darling, you have all the comforts and pleasures during this birth. Why do you want to abandon these and pursue the pleasures of the next birth? I have a doubt that you may also have to repent like that monkey." Jambu asked with a smile, "What made the monkey repent? Tell me." Padmashri told the story. There was a wish-fulfilling pond in a jungle. On its banks there was a large tree. A monkey couple was perched on a branch of this tree. The male monkey jumped from one branch to another, but it slipped and fell into the pond. The divine water in the pond turned it into a handsome young man. Observing this, the female also jumped into the pond. It also turned into a beautiful young woman. Coming out of the pond, the man said to his wife, "This is a miraculous pond. The moment we took a dip into it, we turned from monkeys to human beings. Now, if we once again take a dip, we shall turn into gods from human beings." The wife tried to prevent. "Darling, don't do that. Be contented that you have got a beautiful human body. Greed leads to misery." The man was overwhelmed with the craving to become a god. He said, "You are an idiot. It is wise to keep on trying for more and more." The man once again jumped into the pond. The moment he surfaced, he found that he had turned into a monkey. He kept on taking dips time and again, but in vain. The monkey now started crying. "What have I done?" At that instant, a king hunting in the jungle arrived there and saw that a beautiful damsel was standing near a pond. "What a beauty and what charm! I would make her my queen." The angry monkey pounced at the guards. They caught it and gave it to an animal tamer. The animal tamer beat the monkey and trained it to perform acrobatics and dances. He took it from village to village. One day, the animal tamer took the monkey to the king's court for a performance. The monkey recognized its mate sitting as queen on the throne. The lost memories were stirred up once again, and it started crying miserably. "Alas, this is my mate. What did I do?" Concluding the story, Padmashri said, "My lord, driven by his craving to become a god, the monkey lost the human body, as well as its mate, and repented all its life. The same way, to get the bliss of liberation, you might lose the available mundane pleasures and repent all of your life." Jambu Kumar smiled and said, "Lady, only he repents for lost pleasures who has desires. The monkey had desires for pleasure, and that is why it repented all his life. I will tell you the story of Angarak." All his 8 wives became curious and listened attentively. There was a coal maker who burnt wood in the jungle and turned it into coal. One day, during the summer, he was burning a heap of wood. Due to the oppressive heat, he felt thirsty. Slowly, he finished all the water he had brought. A little later, he became thirsty again. "Oh, my mouth and throat are parched with thirst." In search of water, he wandered around. When he arrived under a dense tree, he fell exhausted. How cool and soothing is this place! The cool wind and refreshing shade made him sleep at once. He saw a dream that, tormented by thirst, he was visiting a variety of water bodies like wells, ponds, and lakes and drinking water. Even after drinking all the water, his thirst was not quenched. When he woke up, he walked into a pond. He bent down and tried to collect some water in his cupped hands, but he got only some slime in his palms. He kept on trying to quench his thirst by licking that slime. Concluding the story, Jambu Kumar looked at Padma Shri and asked, "Tell me, when the fresh water could not quench his thirst, was it possible for him to do so by licking the slime?" "No, it was impossible." Jambu Kumar added jovially, "Our soul has drifted from one life to other and enjoyed divine pleasures as king of gods, Chakravartis, etc. When all these divine pleasures could not quench its desire, how can it get satisfied with slime-like insignificant pleasures available to it as a human?" This irrefutable logic of Jambu Kumar silenced all the ladies. They looked at him expectantly. Jambu Kumar explained further, "Ladies, indulgence can never quench the thirst of mind. Inner peace can only be attained through detachment from all mundane indulgence. The only way to do that is the path of discipline and renouncing." This discussion, interspersed with stories, continued. Due to the sound reasoning of Jambu Kumar, the Don saw the inner awakenings of his 8 wives. They said, "O great man, your sagacious knowledge has inspired us to pursue the spiritual path. We are filled with the feeling of detachment and will get initiated with you." Jambu Kumar said, "If you are determined, please inform your parents. After getting their permission, we shall get initiated tomorrow." In the morning, when Jambu Kumar went and touched his parents' feet, his mother asked, "Son, I am sure you have abandoned the idea." "On the contrary, mother, now I am not alone. All my 8 wives are following me on the spiritual path." The mother looked agape. The father said, "Truly speaking, we are in that age group, but we have yet to wake up." "So what? The day starts when you are awake. When our young son and his wives are renouncing the world at their youthful age, why should we remain caught in this swamp?" With the dawn, the news spread in the city of Rajgarh and became talk of the town. "The only son of Rishabdat is leaving his wealth and becoming a sage, and his parents are also getting initiated. The bigger surprise is that all his 8 newly wedded brides have also decided to follow his suit." Getting this news, King Kunik, the ruler of Magad, arrived at Rishabdat's house and greeted Jambu. "Kumar, your detachment is commendable. I find myself unable to follow the spiritual path, but still I sincerely praise and support it. If there is anything you want me to do..." "Sire, your extending support to those who follow the path of renunciation is good enough." Just then, the bandit chief, Prabhav, arrived there with his 500 men, ready for Diksha. He greeted Jambu Kumar and then King Kunik. The king looked at him with surprise. Jambu Kumar explained, "Sire, this is Prabhav, the bandit chief. He has committed numerous crimes in your state, but..." "Prabhav? Here and in this dress?" Kunik was taken aback. The name of Prabhav made every soldier present there alert. "Sire, he entered my house to rob, but when he listened to my advice, he underwent a change of heart. He is ready for Diksha with his 500 men." "Indeed, the effect of your sermon is astonishing." "Sire, I have a request to make. As Prabhav is prepared to get initiated with all his 500 men, kindly pardon him for all the sins he has committed." Kunik said to Prabhav politely, "Gentleman, there is hardly any scope left for my pardon. You have abandoned everything on your own. Still, I formally pardon you for all the crimes. You may get initiated without any hindrance." The masses applauded. "Victory be to sage Jambu Kumar. May King Kunik be victorious." After this, the renunciation procession started. It was led by King Kunik and his army. Following him was the ruling deity of Jambu continent, God Anadrit, with his divine grandeur. Jambu Kumar was sitting in a palanquin. Then came his 8 wives, also in palanquins. His parents followed along on feet, along with Prabhav and his 500 men. In the end came the multitudes from Rajgriha and nearby villages. Passing through the streets of Rajgriha, the procession arrived at Gunshil Garden. Praise be to Jambu Kumar, the embodiment of detachment. Victory be to Sudharma Swami. And Jambu Kumar, along with 526 persons, got initiated by Gandhar Sudharma Swami. The end.